Walking in the heavenly realms, Jesus said that his kingdom is not of this world, and we have been born into that kingdom. So we are not of this world as well. We are co-dwelling on earth and in the heavenly places. Our spirit, by the Holy Spirit, is entwined into God, and the Spirit of Jesus Christ is enwrapped into our spirit. It's like we're bound into one. So just as like we're living here on earth and Jesus is from heaven, when his spirit binds into us, he lifts us up into the place where he's at by his grace. And we are basically one with the Lord. It says that in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 17. So in this place of being bound with Jesus in spirit, as we attune our hearts into the Spirit of God, our perspective shifts from that natural earthly perspective and drawn up into the heavenly perspective with Jesus. So we begin to see reality through the Spirit of God. We see with the love of God, and we cannot help but see his light in things around us. Our eyes, the eyes of our heart and the perceptive eyes of our spirit become attuned to God's presence, his light and his person. And we find eventually our perspective here on events on earth and our life begin to shift and change to be in line with God's perspective. As we do, we may start seeing the same situations that we saw before, but in a totally different light. No longer focusing on guilt, on blame, on who is wrong, who is right, trying to figure everything out, trying to lay the blame on things like, why has all this happened? There must be a reason. And instead focusing on the love of God. So we shift from that blame pattern into, okay, so all this has happened, but what is God saying? What is the hope of heaven? What can I do to partner with God to bring the heavenly reality into this disaster or into this crisis or into this situation? What can I do to actually bless these people and to help them connect and touch with God? So that's the perspective. That is the goal of everything to do with this gifting. It is to be able to see God's perspective, reach down, help people connect back to God and connect them into his hope that will propel them into a future of love and light instead of despair and darkness. And that is the effect of aligning our eyes with the measure of heaven, which is grace and truth. And you can see that in Colossians chapter 3 verses 1 and 2. The power of God is alive in us. He awakens our spirits and enlightens our eyes to the heart of God and the reality of his spiritual realm. So as you go on this journey, may you enjoy getting to know God's perspective on things and just marvel as your perspective on life shifts to be more in line with the perspective and heart of our Father in heaven.